Ancient Rome, with all its grandeur and power, was also a stage of contrasts and paradoxes. Amidst the gilded walls and marble statues, there was a lesser-known reality: the social rise of individuals from the farthest reaches of the empire, many of whom came from the African continent. These men and women, often brought as slaves, defied all odds, turning servitude into opportunity, captivity into freedom, and obscurity into influence. In this video, we'll delve into the fascinating stories of these Africans who, against all expectations, not only survived the Roman system but also rose to positions of prestige and power. From freedmen who became successful entrepreneurs to imperial advisors who shaped Rome's destiny, get ready to discover how their indomitable spirit and cunning allowed them to rewrite their own stories and leave an indelible mark on the history of the world's most powerful empire. From chains to freedom, the journey of African slaves in ancient Rome. In an empire as vast as Rome, its borders stretched across diverse lands and peoples, including regions of Africa. Many of the Africans who arrived in Rome came as slaves, captured in wars or sold by slave traders. These individuals, torn from their homelands, faced a harsh and cruel reality where their humanity was often disregarded. Yet history shows us that even under the yoke of slavery, some found ways to transcend their origins and dream of freedom. The journey of African slaves in ancient Rome was not just a physical struggle, but also a psychological battle. They had to adapt to a new culture, learn the language, and often find ways to become indispensable to their masters. Some managed to earn the trust and favor of their owners, who, for various reasons, eventually granted them the long-desired freedom. This process of manumission was the first step for many Africans to begin rewriting their stories. After gaining freedom, these former slaves, known as freedmen, faced another challenge: building a life in a society where social origin held great importance. Balancing their African roots with their new status as Roman citizens was a daunting task. However, the resilience and adaptability of these individuals allowed them to integrate into the complex Roman social structure. Many of these freedmen used the knowledge they acquired during their period of enslavement to excel in their new lives. The life of a freedman was not easy, but opportunities were greater than those offered during slavery. In Rome, talent and ambition could overcome social barriers, and some African freedmen used these opportunities to rise to prominent positions. By establishing successful businesses or becoming influential figures, these Africans proved that freedom was just the beginning of their journeys toward power and prestige. Thus, the stories of many African slaves in Rome illustrate a narrative of overcoming adversity and resilience. They not only survived an oppressive system but also found ways to thrive, turning their hardships into a path to social ascent. These stories reflect the complexity of Roman society and the vital role Africans played in shaping its history. Freedmen and entrepreneurs, the transformation of lives on the streets of Rome. Once freed, many African freedmen needed to find ways to support themselves and their families. Trade was one of the main avenues for social mobility, and Rome, with its vibrant market and cultural diversity, offered numerous opportunities. Many former African slaves, who had acquired valuable skills during their captivity, used these skills to establish themselves as entrepreneurs. By mastering the trade of exotic goods or entering sectors like construction and transportation, some African freedmen managed to amass considerable fortunes. These freedmen entrepreneurs played a crucial role in the Roman economy. Rome's market was in constant expansion, and the demand for goods and services grew as the city became more populous and cosmopolitan. African freedmen, with their networks and specific knowledge, often filled market niches that native Roman citizens either could not or did not want to explore. In this way, they contributed to the economic diversification and growth of the city. In addition to their economic contributions, these African entrepreneurs also began to exert social influence. Financial success brought prestige and power, allowing many African freedmen to participate in public life and connect with influential figures in Rome. By sponsoring public events, donating to civic causes, and associating with local elites, they managed to integrate into Roman society in ways that few could have imagined. This gave them the ability to shape not only their own lives, but also the direction of Roman society. However, the path to entrepreneurial success was not without obstacles. Racial and social prejudice persisted, and many African freedmen faced discrimination and distrust. Nevertheless, persistence and determination were common traits among these individuals, who often used their struggles as motivation to keep pushing forward. Their ability to overcome these challenges and thrive in a frequently hostile environment is a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. In the end, the transformation of African freedmen into successful entrepreneurs is one of the most remarkable narratives of ancient Rome. They not only changed their own lives, but also left an indelible mark on the Roman economy and culture. Their stories are powerful examples of how adversity can be turned into opportunity and how freedom can be the beginning of a path to power and respect. The power of integration, Africans in the Roman elite. While many African freedmen sought success in trade, some managed to go even further, integrating into the upper echelons of Roman society. Ancient Rome was, in many ways, a meritocratic society where skill and loyalty could open doors to prestigious positions. Some African freedmen, seizing these opportunities, became part of the Roman elite, acquiring land, marrying into influential families, and even holding political offices. This integration into the Roman elite was not a simple process. It required more than just wealth. It was also necessary to adopt the appropriate behavior, knowledge, and social connections. Many African freedmen were mentored and sponsored by their former masters or other influential figures, which provided them with the necessary access to elite social networks. Through these channels, some African freedmen managed to rise to positions of influence, shaping policies and decisions that affected the entire empire. One of the most notable aspects of this rise was how these individuals balanced their African identity with their new Roman status. Rather than abandoning their origins, many African freedmen used their roots as a source of strength and authenticity. They introduced elements of their native cultures into their lifestyles and sometimes into their religious practices, creating a unique cultural fusion that enriched Rome's diversity. The presence of Africans in the Roman elite also had a significant impact on the perception of Africa within the empire. As these individuals stood out, the stereotypical and simplistic view of Africa and its peoples began to change. Instead of being seen merely as lands of barbarism and slavery, African regions started to be recognized for their cultural and intellectual wealth. This paved the way for future generations of Africans who would find a somewhat more receptive environment for diversity in Rome. Ultimately, the success of these Africans in the Roman elite was not just a personal victory, but also a victory for the concept of integration and meritocracy within the empire. They proved that, even in a society as stratified as Rome, it was possible for a foreigner, especially an ex-slave African, to rise to positions of great influence. These stories serve as a powerful reminder that talent and determination can transcend seemingly insurmountable barriers. Imperial advisors, the African influence on Roman decisions. In the vast and complex power structure of ancient Rome, few positions were as influential as that of an imperial advisor. These individuals, often from the most distant provinces, had direct access to the emperor and could shape the policies affecting the fate of the entire empire. Among these advisors were notable figures of African origin who, through their intelligence, loyalty, and political skill, gained the trust of emperors and left a lasting mark on Rome's history. These African advisors not only provided counsel on administrative and military matters, but also played crucial roles in areas such as diplomacy and provincial governance. Their perspectives, often informed by their diverse backgrounds, offered the emperor a broader and more inclusive view, which was essential for ruling such a vast and multicultural empire. The ability of these advisors to navigate the intricate politics of the Roman court was a testament to their shrewdness and adaptability. A notable example is the advisor to Septimius Severus, an emperor with African roots himself. This advisor played a vital role in maintaining the stability of the empire during times of crisis and transition. His strategies for mediating between different factions and his deep understanding of the social and political dynamics of African provinces were crucial in strengthening Severus's rule. These African advisors demonstrated a profound grasp not only of Rome's internal affairs, but also of the complexities of the regions from which they came. The presence of African advisors within the inner circle of imperial power also helped to redefine perceptions of Africans in Rome. Far from being seen merely as foreigners or former slaves, these individuals were recognized for their intellectual and strategic contributions. This not only elevated their status, but also paved the way for future Africans to occupy positions of influence in Rome, transforming the social and political perception of the African continent within the empire. Ultimately, the rise of these African advisors to the center of Roman power illustrates how intelligence, talent, and political skill could transcend barriers of origin and class in ancient Rome. They were more than mere participants in Rome's history. They were architects of its policies and advocates for a more inclusive vision of the empire. Their stories continue to resonate as examples of how individuals from diverse backgrounds can significantly impact power structures. African women in Rome, from captivity to ascendance. The stories of social ascent in ancient Rome are not limited to men. African women also played crucial roles in transforming their lives and Roman society. Many of these women arrived in Rome as slaves, but through a combination of intelligence, resilience, and, in some cases, strategic alliances, they managed to radically change their circumstances. These women, initially seen as property, eventually became influential in their own communities, and, in some cases, even at the Roman court. One of the most common ways African women ascended socially was through manumission, either through their own merits or by forming close relationships with their masters. Some became wives or concubines of Roman citizens, which granted them certain protection and status. Others used their skills in areas like medicine, divination, or household management to gain freedom and later establish themselves as respected figures in their communities. These women also made significant contributions to the economy and social life of Rome. Some opened businesses or actively participated in family enterprises, while others engaged in religious and cultural activities that allowed them to exert influence over their communities. In a society where women generally had limited rights, the achievements of these freed African women are particularly notable. They not only improved their own lives, but also created opportunities for other women, regardless of their background. African women also left their mark on Roman culture, particularly in fashion and social customs. Their styles of dress, beauty practices, and even some religious traditions were adopted and adapted by the Roman elite, showcasing the profound influence these women had, even in a predominantly patriarchal society. Their presence in ancient Rome challenged social norms and provided new perspectives on the role of women in history. These stories of female social ascent are a testament to the power of determination and adaptability. In a world that often viewed them as mere commodities, these African women not only survived but thrived, creating legacies that continued to impact Rome long after their lives. They represent the indomitable spirit of women who, regardless of circumstances, found ways to assert their voices and shape their destinies. Religion and culture, the African presence in daily Roman life. In ancient Rome, cultural diversity was a reflection of the vast territory covered by the empire, and Africans, with their rich traditions, played a significant role in shaping Roman daily life. African influence was evident in various ways, from religious practices to cultural elements that were integrated into everyday Roman life. These contributions helped enrich the Roman cultural fabric, making it more dynamic and inclusive. One of the most visible aspects of the African presence in Rome was in religious practices. Many freed Africans continued to venerate their native deities and, in some cases, introduced these practices into Roman society. African gods and spirits were often syncretized with Roman deities, creating a diverse pantheon that reflected the multiplicity of beliefs present in the empire. This religious fusion not only allowed Africans to preserve their cultural heritage, but also influenced Roman spiritual practices, bringing new perspectives and rituals into Roman worship. Beyond religion, African culture also manifested in Roman arts and fashion. Styles of dress, jewelry patterns, and even artistic techniques from Africa gained popularity among the Romans. African influences were also visible in music and dance, which were enjoyed both in noble households and at public spectacles. This adoption of African elements reflected an appreciation for cultural diversity and recognition of the value of traditions brought by freedmen and African immigrants. African cultural contributions extended beyond the arts and religion. There was also considerable influence in cuisine and social customs. African ingredients and cooking techniques were incorporated into the Roman diet, creating new flavor combinations that enriched the gastronomy of the time. Socially, Africans brought new ways of celebrating festivals and organizing community events, practices that were adopted and adapted by the Romans, demonstrating how African traditions became integrated into the empire's daily life. Ultimately, the African presence in daily Roman life is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of these communities. Despite adversities, Africans managed not only to preserve their cultures, but also to significantly influence Roman society. Their contributions continue to be a reminder of the lasting impact that African cultures had on global history, especially in an empire as vast and diverse as Rome. Enduring legacy, the African mark on Roman history. The social ascent of Africans in ancient Rome was not just a series of individual successes. It was a phenomenon that left a lasting legacy in the history of the Roman Empire and beyond. These men and women, who started their lives under extreme adversity, not only survived but thrived, leaving an indelible mark that would be felt for generations. The impact of their lives and contributions extends beyond their personal achievements, shaping the course of Roman history and influencing the future of the empire. One of the most visible aspects of this legacy is how Africans helped redefine social and cultural perceptions in Rome. Their social ascent challenged notions of race and origin, demonstrating that skill, intelligence, and determination could overcome societal barriers. By reaching positions of power and prestige, these freed Africans proved that success was not limited to a particular class or ethnicity, but was accessible to anyone with the qualities needed to achieve it. The legacy of Africans in Rome is also reflected in the cultural diversity and richness they brought to the empire. Their influences in arts, religion, cuisine, and social traditions enriched Roman culture, creating a more pluralistic and inclusive society. These contributions helped establish a cultural foundation that would continue to flourish long after the fall of the Roman Empire, influencing European and global civilization in the centuries that followed. Furthermore, the impact of these Africans in Rome served as a precursor to future interactions between Africa and Europe. The presence and success of Africans in ancient Rome opened doors for future generations of Africans to seek opportunities in Europe, establishing ties that would shape the continent's history. This legacy of cultural and social exchange remains an essential part of the shared history between Africa and the Western world. Ultimately, the enduring legacy of Africans in Rome is a testament to the power of human resilience. Their stories are a reminder that, regardless of circumstances, determination and courage can transform lives and leave a lasting impact on history. They not only changed their own lives, but also contributed to the formation of one of history's most significant civilizations, leaving a legacy that continues to be celebrated and studied today.